Nothing changes instantaneously. In a gradually heating bathtub, you'd be boiled to death before you knew it. Our Father, who art in heaven. Seriously? What the actual fuck?
Gilead doesn't care about children. Gilead cares about power.
Why does healing have to be the only goal? Why can't we be as furious as we feel?
For whatever man sows, so shall he reap.
Welcome to Above the Garage.
Hi, friends. Today we are super psyched because we have the new actress to the show that we've raved about constantly all season, Genevieve Angelson, who plays the unforgettable Mrs. Alanis Wheeler, here to chat with us. Welcome, Genevieve.
Thank you so much for having me. It feels so good to be among friends.
We are so happy to have you on our screen again and in slightly different fashion.
Thank you guys so much for the beautiful content that you've been posting on Instagram, and it's given me so much awesome stuff to repost. Anyway, you just do such a great job.
And we appreciate it. That's all Kimberly. She's the magician on the collage. The collages, as she says.
Well, Mrs. Wheeler has definitely given us a lot of funny content.
Oh my God, yeah. Thank you for giving us so much content.
Yeah.
That was my goal. I was like, listen, let me really tell this story, but if I could possibly tell it in a way that's good for the gram, that would really be.
That is exactly what we appreciate. And so thank you. No, it's amazing to me. I don't know, like the writers write so well for the characters that have been there for so long, but then they have this new character and you just like nailed it as if they had written it for someone that you played before. But anyway, it was amazing to me.
That feels so good to hear. Thank you.
I hope we get to see more of it. We would like to know more about your dog before we're big pet people.
Oh, my dog is a very sexy individual named Jack Lemon.
Oh, I love that.
He is my everything.
Yes.
Aww.
He was there with me the entire shoot. Yeah, my dog and Lucas's dog became really good buddies, and we would never leave them alone in our trailers. We would make sure they were always together so they had a friend.
I love that. Wait, so is it difficult to take your dog into Canada at this point? I feel like I saw more cast members doing that in the past, and then post-COVID, I didn't see a lot of that.
There's so you have to pay a tax for bringing livestock into the country. Then once
extremely small livestock.
Right. Once you actually get to the set of The Handmaid's Tale, you are basically in the most dog-friendly universe that exists. Galaxy, the galaxy in this universe, because everyone is a dog person. Everyone brings their dog, and also all of the set PAs and base camp PAs were just such incredibly generous, would go into my trailer. I'm a very open door person, and so the girls were always in my trailer and always spending time with him, and he had a bunch of girlfriends and was a total pimp, so he had a great time.
I love that. See, that's why we love this show.
Yeah, it's so the actual environment of the show is, I'm sure it won't surprise you, a great counterbalance to the show itself.
Right.
Everyone is very funny. Yvonne herself is just a total filthy mouthed loose cannon.
Yeah.
Such a gal pal. She's great. So yeah.
Yeah, she's clearly amazing. I mean, she's so amazing that I feel like all the fans have been fooled into she's fine. She's good now. She's sorry. Let's you forgot the stuff she did, but
it's a really interesting point you're making, which is that very few people on the show are a villain, a bad guy. The show is really artful in that everyone is playing a human being, and every human being has a really good reason for doing the things that they do. And as I said, this show is founded, 5 seasons ago, so I'm sure many viewers have forgotten, on this founding premise that we're in the middle of human extinction by way of infertility. And so even the people that you would blame for going to horrifying extremes and enslaving an entire class of women are doing so because they have seen proof that without which there would be no women left. So it's horrifying. And also then you have someone like Yvonne, who is playing a character you see so many different sides of.
Yeah, she's amazing. It's a testament to her that everyone still loves Serena because she's done things outside of the fertility crisis that were unforgivable that didn't help that.
And some people hate June. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, they do.
Everyone is playing. Even the good guys are playing their inner, beast. Their
Yeah.
inner, like just primal animal.
I know. I love that.
Yeah.
I love when June goes primal like that. So interestingly, on 9, we actually watched some of it being filmed in Newmarket. Like we'd never met as a group because we're from all over the world. So a bunch of us met up in Canada to meet and hang out for a week. And we saw the filming notice for Newmarket. So we went to that 2-year fertility center. Congratulations on the grand opening.
So truly.
And it was so funny because we saw Serena running out. And knowing nothing about this actual season, we were just like, where's June? She must be chasing her. Somebody's trying to steal her baby. And little did we know she's just stealing her own baby back. Yes, you've already done the stealing. Well done. And it's very funny that I was like, somebody has to be chasing her. But no, you were the guilty party. I'm surprised you weren't chasing her, by the way. You were really sleeping on the job there.
You're right. I'm sure that Mrs. Wheeler had a lot of l'esprit d'escalier at that moment.
Yeah.
It's like, why did I? This is the thing. It's like, I think that this is a really key dynamic between Mr. and Mrs. Wheeler is that the conflict, right, is sort of that I subscribe to this social structure in which my husband is king and he is the executor of his will, and that is what goes, and he's superior in this way, and that really works for me, I believe, because that's really what works for God, and what works for God appears to be what's solving this fertility crisis, which people by season 5 have completely forgotten is the founding premise of this show, is that humanity is under the threat of extinction, and that's why people are assuming these really extreme practices. However, in this case, with this highly charged house guest we have, I'm right. I'm always right. I've been right again and again and again. And so you just have to imagine there are the scenes you see, and then there are the scenes that you don't, where
upstairs.
You have to imagine these premonitions that Mrs. Wheeler is having and communicating, and that he is sort of, what's the word? Not that he's de-escalating, and I'm not going to say gaslighting, but when she runs out, you have to imagine there's a moment of, I fucking told you so. I told you this
for sure.
And I told you this is a bad idea.
Right. Yeah, I wondered what happened upstairs in the fertility center before you came down, and Mrs. Wheeler seemed to have regained control of Mr. Wheeler.
Well, I also think we have really hot sex. So
Thank
it's also
you.
possible.
I just got censored by Kimberly on the episode 9 podcast because I said I thought you gave him a blowjob upstairs. But hey, it's fine. We don't need that line.
I don't know. I think we have really crazy kink. I think he is sure got weapons of mass destruction. And I just think that there is something going on that is a lot more a lot less expected than a blowjob.
I agree. I can feel that simmering under your surface there.
I wanted to know what the casting process was like. Was there a lot of people auditioning at the same time as you, Mrs. Wheeler?
The casting process was really wild because, the show is it's such an institution, and by now they are so buttoned up because obviously there are millions and millions of fans who want to know absolutely anything they can know. So when I tell you, my agent called me and they told me nothing. I mean, nothing. They were basically there's a part on The Handmaid's Tale. She's been described as an acolyte.
Right.
That is all that I knew. And they gave me that short prayer that I say when you first meet my character. And I say this prayer, and I say it at Serena's belly. I didn't know circumstance. I didn't know who I was or what I wanted. And so I was what am I supposed to? So I just made a choice, really committed to it. And then I got a call and they said, they want you to play this role. And I said, okay, but wait, what is the role? I said, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to interview them because I would like to know what I'm signing up to do. I don't, on this show, it could be anything. So I had gorgeous Bruce and I had a really, really, really generous conversation, and he talked to me for like hours. We talked about everything, and I just got so excited, and it was really great.
So what made you, did you have any inspiration behind why you decided to play her that way?
I don't think that anyone is a villain. I don't think that anyone is a bad guy. I think in every person's life, they believe they are the hero, and they believe that, well, I mean, maybe they're not an egomaniac, but they're doing, I am doing everything I'm doing because it feels like it's the best choice in the situation. And so I just combed through this woman's arc, and what I came up with was, this is our last chance. This is our last hope. This is our last hope. This is the only place on earth where this fertility crisis is getting solved. And I don't know that I want to live this way or I want to do these things, but this is what it takes. And so grow up. That's how I feel. And particularly once she comes back to our home and she's had the audacity to attempt murder and wants to still be responsible for what could be one of the last babies ever born. I just think, like, are you insane? Are you insane? And so to be able to stand in that point of view of, I'm the only one who's taking seriously how desperate this threat is. It's not just that I'm some, wild anti-women's rights, like right-wing conservative, like that's not what this is. And then the way that I sort of undo it is, I know where the character is going, and so I try to begin her as far away from there as possible. So when I meet Serena, it is, I mean, what would it feel like to be in the presence of someone who's been chosen by God I mean, really, really adore her and admire her and just think she's amazing. Like the way that I felt about, I don't know, the way that I think I felt about Barack Obama when I was in high school. You know what I mean? Like I just, so.
Well, it was a great choice because she's definitely I would say probably one of my favorite characters this season, because the way you played her, and I don't know, like, I think, did you intend for us to laugh at you? Because you made me laugh a lot.
That's never my intention. I don't think things are funny when the intention is to be funny, but I think that like anything played really earnestly, particularly if you're being earnest in the wrong circumstances, is either hilarious or terrifying. And I got a lot of feedback that people, all over the internet were throwing around the word creepy and like, oh, she's so frightening. And what was ironic about that is it was like, especially in the beginning when you first meet Mrs. Wheeler, she has like this big smile that she looks up at the camera with. And I was like, you guys, so that actually just is my smile. That is how I smile. And I am not going to be offended, but I think that's what it means to be creepy, is just be really, 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 really passionate about something in the wrong circumstances.
It's more important than your feelings. That whole scene, actually, too.
That is my favorite scene. And that actually is like the greatest kind of proof of this theory that I was testing out, which is like, we all have a lot of hard things that we have to feel, but as adults, we have to feel them. And I'm sorry that you're not in the mood for this, but this is a baby who deserves parents. And like, it's not that I had to find points of view that were easy to embody. So that it didn't seem like I was playing an archetype of a baddie, and instead that I was playing a human being, And I think that's why people like her, because even though she's horrible, which I can now say objectively, she's horrible, she's I really hope, like embodied, like she's flesh, she's lived in, she's a person, and that's just like an interesting thing to watch for me.
Well, you did a great job.
Thanks. Thank you.
I kept thinking I really want to hang out with her. She's adorable, but also I'm terrified of her. Like that was my thought about you.
About Alanis that's a little bit different is that like in Gilead they just have to wear all those dreadful costumes, and the thing is like here we are in Toronto, and like we can kind of cherry pick what we like about Gilead, which is like, yes, absolutely. The men should be, this is going to be the supreme patriarchy, and we're going to have a lot of sexual ritual. But I mean, we can still dress fabulous. Like we can still have a painted belt. We absolutely must still wear jewelry. So she does seem like she's a little fabulous at the same time.
I love your wardrobe. What was your favorite piece?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, I'll tell you. Hold on one second.
Ooh, she's got it.
Love the designer so much. I have to come home with this green coat. I mean, if I don't have this Gilead coat, what? To the podcast listener, I have this green coat on that I wore when I told Serena if she needed to come home from shooting June, if she was even slightly uncomfortable, Ezra would bring.
Love it.
I think it's delightful that it was the teal that you chose of all of your costumes. That's a beautiful color. We interviewed Leslie, the costume designer for the season, last week, and she's amazing. And specifically, I love everything they did with Gilead, outside of Gilead, was just amazing, and you're beautiful. So
Thank you. We did so many photo shoots as well, because around the Wheeler's house there are a lot of picture frames, and so there were so many costumes that you're not you probably didn't clock, but
there's the wedding and everything.
Right, exactly. Before Lucas and I even started working together, we had to like pose together for these like intimate shots of us like on vacation, like the Riviera, and like we were like, "Hi, so nice to meet you. Do you mind if I just throw my arms around your neck and plant a kiss on your cheek?" Like, we may be actors, but that's still extremely awkward. So that was a funny way to get to know each other.
I really like his character as well. I just love a whole backstory of you two.
The great thing about Lucas, and I'm certain that this was the casting director, Sharon Bialy, is really, really legendary, iconic, genius casting director. And I think something that's really powerful about Lucas and I is that the polarity, like he's got this like profound stillness where and sort of like this solid, sturdy minimalism, where Mrs. Wheeler is like much more kind of windy and it's like fire and earth, you know what I mean? How deeply in love did you fall with that new adorable
Owen Painter?
Yeah,
Gene.
Oh, I love him so much.
Okay, so clearly I never met him because we never crossed paths. So I took in the episode with the same kind of like, I mean, I had read it, but like, I was just like, who is Timothy? Shall I, may I, what? Like, who is this?
That's
child?
So true.
I think he's going to be a huge star.
You know what? Season 6, you need a new house guest from Gilead, and he needs to, some R&R.
He only has one leg now, so
we're gonna need to recapacitate him.
Yeah.
He may be fertile. Who knows?
Maybe not. Maybe that would make the whole like misery situation easier.
I literally was thinking misery. Yeah.
Oh boy, how did we end up here?
I have some random questions to ask you about other work that you've done. You were an assistant animal tamer on Beasts of the Southern Wild. I'm just so curious. We're like huge animal lovers, and so that caught my eye immediately. And we were like, how do we get that job? We got to ask her.
I'll tell you. So I went to Wesleyan, where we were all just movie nerds, and Wesleyan is a small liberal arts college in Connecticut, where they happen to randomly have this amazing film studies program. And so a lot of really amazing people have gone there. And one of them is Ben Zeitlin, who directed Beasts of the Southern Wild. And he was a few years ahead of me in school. But when he got the budget to like make this movie, we all loved and believed in him so much that like a ton of Wesleyan kids just went down to New Orleans to help him make it for free. And so one day my girlfriend Kate just called me and said, they're gonna have a special effects unit with pigs. Do you want to help? That is the whole story. I read a book on how to train pigs, which is insanely easy to do because they're even smarter than dogs. They're basically just food driven. And we trained a bunch of pigs to, wear costumes and run on little treadmills. We housed all of them, and they Yeah.
Please tell me you have video of this.
Yeah, that's a great story.
I mean, I would sit and like the thing about pigs is that they're prey. And so, but the main part of training them is to just get them to not be absolutely terrified that you're going to kill them at all times. And so I would sit in the pig pen in the backyard of an abandoned firehouse in New Orleans and read them. I was getting ready to play Nina in The Seagull. And so I would just read them Chekhov plays all day.
Oh,
They would just become accustomed to my voice and my being there and my not killing them. And
oh,
yeah.
that's so cute.
On the subject of animals, did your dog dress up for Halloween?
He did not. It's funny. So there's a huge, where I live in Los Angeles, there's like a huge Halloween carnival, basically. It's like, it's just as good, if not better, as being in the East Village of New York. Mm-hmm. And my dog is scared of like one skateboard or scooter. The idea of my dog going anywhere near Halloween would be like almost instant heart failure for him. So I spared him.
Don't do that. Yeah.
That's nice.
But I mean, yeah, he pretty much dresses up every day as like a, just a real calendar little pin-up boy.
Because he's awesome. Did I see you have a Christmas tree up? Is that you?
You may or may not have discovered that I have a Christmas tree up.
So Christmas is your thing, huh? This is early.
Thing so hard that I mean, I'm singing Christmas carols all year round. Wow. I thought that it would be a really fun and terrifying, spooky thing to do to put up my tree on Halloween. So it was the spookiest thing I saw this year. Coming silently out of the woodwork, sliding into my DMs, being like, "You think it's okay if I do it too?" And I'm like, we're grown-ups. We're grown-ups now. We can do whatever we want.
Very true.
We have we have like the fake tree and we have it fully ready to go. And my grandma used to do this. We just slide it fully formed into a closet. And then when it's Christmas, you just slide it back out.
That's amazing.
It's the best.
It's like, well, it's a 4-bedroom, but if you count the tree, it's a 5-bedroom.
Yeah.
I need to do that. That's a good idea.
You sent me a Vegemite ornament today, Kimberly. Thank you. I'm very excited. Dave hates Vegemite, but it's going on the tree anyway.
Oh, that's a good question. Do you know if Yvonne eats Vegemite still, being an Aussie?
I did not ever witness her eating Vegemite.
No, she's a classy Aussie, not like the other day.
Hey,
I think Anna Paquin still eats Vegemite.
Does she?
I think Anna ate some Vegemite on Flack. I'll have to ask her. I can't remember that.
Another random project, but I saw you did some voice work on Robot Chicken, and I love that. I love that you did that. Do you have any like thoughts as far as doing voice work versus, live work?
Yeah,
I know it's very different.
I don't use my master's degree ever as much as I use it when I'm doing voiceovers. When you're doing voiceover, you are crazy if you try to like quote unquote do it right. Like the idea is to be the most insane, wild, creative clown from the depths of your own like subconscious mental illness, like that, particularly on Robot Chicken, but truly for any kind of animated or voiceover work, like you should be going to a 14 on a scale of 5, and particularly on that show. So it really gives me a chance to like just stretch the limits of my own insanity. That show, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you get to go for it more than you do with live roles.
Right. Well, you're almost always like dying from having your head blown off or like murdering children, or like on that show, you're, probably playing a corrupt politician who also happens to be like, I don't know, blowing cakes out of a tuba. It's like, so it's just mental.
That's amazing.
What was it like, Genevieve, joining a cast that has already been, the show's already been on for 5 seasons?
I'll tell you what it was not like. It was not like, I'm like coming to high school in 11th grade and everyone already has their group of friends. It was like, this thing is already going really well. Like, let me just listen to the orchestra and figure out where my instrument is supposed to fit in, but like not try to, I'm not here to change the melody. Like it was just, I don't know why this image is coming through, but it's like I've watched the show. I'm a fan of the show. And so it's like in Mary Poppins when Dick Van Dyke was like a sidewalk chalk drawer, and then they would just jump right into a different image, like sort of like that. And I mean, the built-in, it's been an amazing experience, particularly since the show has come out, like to have a built-in audience. I've worked for so long, and you do so many shows that never get past a first season, and guest star and recurring guest star in so many shows that never get past a first season. So to be in this like gorgeous artistic, oh my gosh, it's such a it's just, I never take it for granted. And because it's been so handsomely like recognized by so many different awards, and everyone really gets a lot of time. Like the makeup department gets time. There's time in the schedule for the lighting and the camera and things that on so many other shows get really rushed for budget. Like people recognize like, oh, I'm working with artists who are in the top of their field, and we're making art, and I'm going to make sure that Burton LeBlanc in makeup has 2 hours. That's like unheard of. So there's just an enormous amount of respect for the work built into that production.
Also, Burton, shout out. We love Burton. He was our first ever interview. He's the best.
My absolute king. I love him so much. He's the best part of my day. It's the most incredible counterbalance to like the very dark material I'm about to shoot, to just sit down in his chair and gossip.
Yes.
It's the best. Also, it's worth noting that like on a normal, not Emmy Award winning brilliant show, you can shoot up to 10 pages in a day. There were days on Handmaid's Tale where we shot 3 pages. Like they just give everything time,
Yeah. Well, that shows you it's one of the best shows.
So both Evan and Nicola raved about working with you for obvious reasons. How cool was your house?
Oh, that's so sweet. That
You're
makes
amazing.
me feel so good. They're such icons, those two, truly. Wait, sorry, I didn't hear the end of your question because I was just swimming in my own.
Swim. No, how cool was your house? Like, especially for the style of film. I don't know if it was Eva or Nick that said they were going for beautiful horror, but like, damn, did you guys like crush that?
Guys, I've got notes on that house. There is a feeling of, I just thought it was like, this is kind of a damp, dark house to also be a mansion that someone has spent an enormous amount on. So I don't, if I had a mansion like that, I would bring in a little more light. That's all I'm saying.
Eva, I think, said that the ultrasound room was originally going to be in the basement, I think. So that must have been damp and dark if you think that at all.
It's required that they have like by our union, it's required that they have a dedicated private area for the actors' chairs, like when they're on their breaks. And depending on where you are, like, they're going to give you the best that they have. But there was one day of the show where the actors' chairs were with the makeup artists in the basement, and they had to bring in like cinematography lighting into the basement so that anyone could see anything. And we were like, we don't need this. We're just going to sit upstairs. Thank you, union. I'm going to pass on the basement. That's really
Was the makeup always in the basement then?
No, we relocated. We decided that we were not too good, so that we had to be separate from everyone. We would just be with the party.
Yeah, no. In that scenario, I get that. What was your favorite scene to film?
I really think
there?
I mean, it's so easy for me to say. I really think it was okay, I'm actually torn. So my gut impulse was to say it was when we are in the when we're cutting flowers.
Flowers, yeah.
I'm going to tell her to go to her room. Because the arc of it was so fun. And I do think that is the scene of the show where the story changes.
Yeah.
Where she goes from being a guest to being a prisoner. To me,
Agreed.
That's the scene. But I will say, and I loved all the directors equally, but there is just something about Brad Whitford that is like, he's so unbelievably fun and delicious. Like it's like, I mean,
he really is.
So I think the other scene I'm going to say was my favorite it was very fun to slap Yvonne. It was actually very unfun to accidentally actually slap Yvonne, which happened in the rehearsal, the camera rehearsal before we actually shot the scene. I accidentally hit Yvonne Strahovski across the face. An absolutely horrific feeling. I don't recommend it.
I would not mind seeing that tape though. That sounds so interesting.
The thing is me hitting her and then going, oh my God, I'm so sorry. That's as far as that take got.
I want to see her face though. Like I bet she was nice about it.
I don't think anyone's money would be on me in a fight between me and Yvonne, so she took it pretty well.
Although I think Mrs. Wheeler would be pretty scrappy, I reckon.
She'd be scrappy, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Mrs. Wheeler would probably bring a gun to a knife fight, though. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
She's not going to lose that fight, right?
I just love the shot that you were talking about when they're cutting the flowers and you're telling Yvonne to go to her room and she's obviously towers over you, and it's just so funny. I love that so much.
But you're still commanding, like it's amazing.
Yeah, but you're still so commanding.
Thank you. Meaningful. Thank you.
I saw on your Instagram that you and Jason went to NYU together, right? Who plays Mr. Mackenzie? Commander Mackenzie.
Jason and I both went to the same graduate school, but we went at different times. It's a very, very, very tightly knit community. The graduate acting program at NYU, it's like the alumni are like intentionally know each other. And
yeah, it's a good network.
Yeah, of course. And also just like the theater world in New York is so small in general that like, it's not just NYU, it's also like Yale and Juilliard, or, I know a ton of those people. And so he and I have known each other. His partner is a very dear friend of mine and I've known forever. And we just have a ton of friends in common. So it was really fun to actually have a job with him. That was our first time.
Yeah, that you guys crossed over. How long were you there with him?
We were always there at different times, but he was actually shooting another show simultaneously. So he was on Handmaid's Tale, and then he also got, I think, Lone Survivor with Kiefer Sutherland. And so I was so happy because he left and then came back for this other job. But because Mrs. Wheeler and Commander Mackenzie don't have any material together, and they're obviously only shooting one thing at a time, we were either like working when the other person wasn't working or like not in the city at the same time. So we overlapped somewhat. And when we did, it was really nice. Yeah.
I love him in Ozark, and I just love his voice. It's so commanding. I hope we see Mr. Mackenzie more next season.
If you ever have a chance to see Jason Butler Harner on stage, run, don't walk towards it, because he is one of the most sensational stage actors you've ever seen. He's so good. Yeah. And he's incredible in Ozark, of course. Yeah.
All right. You're delightful to talk to. I will start pulling over the people in the Upside Down. Julia's first, because it's like 4 a.m. there.
If you can hear me, I have the world's most crippling insomnia. So I'm so moved by your effort to be here. I really understand. Hi, Julia.
Hello, Genevieve.
Did you hear her compliment you because she has insomnia? Which, I'm sorry, Genevieve, that's the worst thing.
I have devastating, like life-altering, life-ruining insomnia. So the fact that you would show up at 4 a.m. in order to chat is so, so moving. Thank you for coming.
No problem, but I am one of the only ones who does not need to go to work tomorrow. So
did you stay up or wake up early?
No, I have a 7-month-old daughter, so I'm practically waking up every 2 hours anyways. I'm probably not as insomniac as Genevieve is. So my first question is, I kind of share with my other friend Raquel from the UK, who needs to work tomorrow and cannot be here. And we wondered, because the last time we saw Alanis and her husband was when Serena kind of ran off with Noah when they visited that fertility clinic. We were kind of interested in, what do you think Alanis or the Wheelers will do now? Like, since they fled, will they try to campaign to get Noah back like the Waterfords did with Nicole in season 3? Or
it's interesting. I was just earlier in the interview, I was just kind of remembering this question I had about how this kind of manifests in my marriage, right? Because I think there is this real paradoxical thing where, on the one hand, something I love about my husband is his power. I think he is incredibly powerful and has access to I think he has, if there are nuclear codes, he's got them. Like he knows where the bodies are buried, and he knows. And so that is very inspiring of my adoration of him. And also, he fucked this up. I knew this shouldn't happen. So it's both like, I'm sure he'll fix it. I'm sure if anyone can fix it, he will. And he did it. So it's like this horrible bind of fuck you, help me.
Yeah. It's not over. She's not giving up.
No, she'll never give up.
Thank you.
All right, Marigold.
Hi, Genevieve.
Hi.
I have a very important question first from my 3-year-old son. He was listening earlier from the Upside Down, and he wanted to know what your favorite color is.
Oh,
My favorite color.
Oh, you have to think about it.
Well, it changes all the time. Tell him that my favorite color is evergreen.
Okay, that's like his icebreaker lately. So he kept asking you. It's like, he can't hear you, bud, but I promise I'll ask him.
Adorable.
So.
Tell him I also want him to know that I really love grape.
Okay. Evergreen and grape. I got it.
We're good together.
My real question for you is, when you got this role, did you go back and rewatch, the especially horrible scenes of Serena and June as kind of an inspiration for the character, or did you kind of come up with your own inspiration? You didn't kind of want it to be no?
I didn't rewatch. So I watched for the first time seasons 3 and 4, and I think the writing is so good that it creates the tracks for the train, and I don't have to drive. In order to, for instance, create the parallels that you are referring to and evoke the schadenfreude that people want to feel from these dynamics and these situations, I don't have to do that. The writing really puts that in place. And in fact, it's my job to just play as fully fleshed a new character as possible, so that there is as much technicolor and as little black and white, right? As little black and white parallel as there can be, and as much kind of it's like Serena and June, but in fact it's this crazy firework and a new kind of Serena. And
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
thank you.
Also, just by the way, so much of the parallel that you, the viewer, experience has nothing to do with me, nor does it even have to do with the script. It's like the fact that they just put our bodies in space in the same arrangement, or they, they block it, or they light it, or they create the same picture. So they make my job in that regard so simple.
Yeah, loved watching the parallels between the first season and Serena at the Wheelers.
Yeah,
that whole episode was packed.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Totally.
Tina?
Hi.
Hi, Tina.
Hi. Thank you for joining us. If Mrs. Wheeler would have gone full Gilead and chosen to rename baby Noah like Serena renamed June's daughter in season 2, what name do you think she would have chosen to give him?
Oh my God, that's so good. Diego.
Diego. I love it. Totally fits.
No explanation. Next question.
Yeah,
exactly. Diego's delightful to me. All right, Rachel.
Okay, hello.
Hi, Rachel.
Hi, Genevieve. Thank you so much for answering our questions today. So my question, so Alanis commented to Serena that Mr. Wheeler didn't answer to the commanders in Gilead. And how do you, or maybe this is just something context they gave you, or maybe your own personal headcanon, how do you view where the Wheelers fit into the Gilead structure from Canada, or do they? I was also wondering, are the Wheelers supposed to represent a new founding presence in Canada that, if successful, would put the Wheelers at the top of that hierarchy?
That's never explicitly stated, but I'm sure Alanis would enjoy that. I think that the way that I thought of it is following. There's an international crisis. We are all under an enormous threat, the likes of which we've never seen. There's one place in the world where this is actually kind of going okay, and it's in this place called Gilead. This pioneer, this person who I think of as a revolutionary, has come to my country, and while here suffered an attack I'm incredibly wealthy. I'm going to bring her into my home and I'm going to protect her. And I do that with people have asked me, like, do you think that she has plans? Is she going to try to steal that baby? Whatever. No. I think she starts this from the purest place, which is this hero needs help. Let me help her. That was my choice as an actor. And I think that gives me the farthest to go. When I say that my husband doesn't answer to them, there is no Gilead in Canada. He's not a politician. I'm not a politician. We're rich. And we have a lot of evidence of another system that really works. And so, like other rich people all over the place, we will throw a lot of money behind a political party or a plan. But there is no Gilead system in Canada. There are only fans, right? Like there are only people who support that point of view. And there are the people who are like coming to the fertility center and before it is a fertility center, like lining up and trying to meet Serena Joy. And were Gilead to move forward, I mean, I'm sure that I have Gilead too, New Bethlehem. Were those things to move forward? Like I think that I would have it would have obviously like the full thrust of our spiritual and financial support. And I'm sure that I would want my husband to be a leader in that way. But I'm also very clear of like where for me the cracks start to occur in my relationship with Serena is specifically in the scene where it's episode 5. It's after I've had a party for her with a lot of women who really want to meet her and take inspiration from her. And I say to her, you could take this call from Gilead here in my husband's office. And she says, do you want to stay and listen in on the call? And I'm like, no, I'm a woman.
Yeah.
And I deliberately made the choice in that scene to play my processing of, wait a second, I'm not supposed to do this. You're doing this. You're not actually practicing what you preach. And not only is that hypocritical, it's actually really dangerous. And you're really disappointing. And I disappointing at best, like suspect and a little threatening and a little heartbreaking. And I have like one line where I could possibly fit in all of that processing into like literally one flash of my eyes. And I don't know that it worked at all, but
it did.
Yeah, I think it did.
Definitely did.
I don't see a long answer to your question, except to say, I think I would have enormous dreams for how influential my husband could be in this kind of a society. I don't think that I would intend to be as involved as Serena. I would just be, I'd be like one of those people who's like really crazy into politics, but like it's actually all of their husband's money. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Got it. Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. It's not so much that they're a part of Gilead, they're supporting the idea of it.
That's right.
And they're fans of it, of the idea of it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
got it.
There were, major Trumpers in Canada. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Ginger, would you like to ask your question?
Hi, Genevieve.
Hi, Ginger. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? It's so great to see you. I loved Good Girls New Amsterdam, by the way. I watched it.
Oh, thanks. Thank you so much. That was another really fun role, guys. I went from playing basically like a witch on a medical drama to playing like a really kind of like alt Eastern medicine, like crunchy LA person on a medical drama to Handmaid's Tale. So it was a really fun
great transition.
Yeah, totally.
So my question you kind of answered earlier. I was just wondering about Mr. and Mrs. Wheeler's relationship, because initially I couldn't tell, like they seemed kind of cold, but I was thinking like, are they actually in love or like,
yes, wildly.
Okay.
I adore him. I think he is, I think I'm like wildly attracted to him. I was saying, I think we have crazy bedroom kink. I think he is,
I love that.
I think he's amazing, can do anything, is all powerful. And I think I discover over the course of the season that I'm smarter.
I feel like we see that when they're in the fertility center and like she corrects him when he seems to take Serena's side. And then I got the sense that maybe Genevieve kind of wears the pants in that relationship.
Genevieve sure does.
Not Genevieve. I'm sorry.
No, I don't think I wear the pants. I think I'm very, very clear on who wears the pants. I think what I'm starting to realize is that my instincts are always right and I don't have power and I don't want it, but but he's ruining things. He's ruining very, very, very high stakes situations. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Melissa from Argentina.
Hi. Hi, Genevieve.
Hola.
Hola. Thank you so much for doing this. It's amazing. Well, my question is that we saw that Alanis was happy with the idea of keeping Serena's baby, but do you think she will have agreed to have a handmaid and perform the ceremony if she has to? Tricky question, I know.
I feel so I want to answer this carefully and say I'm speaking on behalf of Genevieve, not the writers. I would answer this from the following place. Everything that motivates Alanis is from the spine of a person who is trying to save people that are in harm's way. And I keep repeating this, but there's really only one place and one way that we've seen that working, and it's Gilead. Now, do I think that that's a great plan? Do I think that everyone feels great about that and in that, and that everyone is thriving? Probably not. But if the alternative is, the extinction of our species, I'll do it. If that's what works, and the alternative is there are no more people, of course I'll do it. Do I want to? No. Probably not. Probably I would just like to get pregnant myself with my husband. But I think they would feel that way even in Gilead. I think in Gilead, people are not like psyched about the idea of legitimized rape, but it seems that this is a thing that has been come up with because it's seemingly absolutely necessary.
And see, do you think the commanders may be psyched about legitimized rape at this point?
You're right.
In Gilead.
I think you're absolutely right. And I've actually just been thinking about
But what about Mr. Wheeler?
I will kill him if he shows any enjoyment of it whatsoever.
There you go. Perfect.
But if it's in service of God, okay.
Yes, it's a sacrifice in some sort of way. Thank you so much.
I have one random question from Ginger, that she kind of has the sense that Alanis is into horror movies. Do you agree? And also, if you do, what would her favorite one be?
I totally disagree because I don't know. I think people think of Alanis as the scary character, which I'm sure just means that me and all the other departments did a really good job. I think her favorite movie is To Catch a Thief. I think she loves flowers and Europe and travel and outfits. Yeah. And she loves clothes and laughter and champagne. And I think that's who she is. I think she wanted Serena to be her best friend.
Yeah.
And Serena broke her heart.
Totally different.
Oh, yeah.
She wanted Serena. I think she wanted to champion Serena. I think she wanted to be, an aunt to this child, and a benefactor of this child. I think Serena absolutely betrayed her.
Yeah.
It's so interesting.
I think a lot of these things come through for sure. Like, we're picking up on what you're saying, and it's just like part of the complication of the show is that everybody is so layered.
And the style of the show is that, if you ever look at an actual script, sentences are short. It's like subject, verb, object. It's people don't say much, and all of it exists in the silence. All of it exists in the pauses. All of it. And so all I get is what I'm faced with, which is, here comes my hero. All of a sudden she's acting like a man. And then I've given her everything. I've given her incredible protection, incredible medical care, every possible nutrient she could possibly need to have the healthiest pregnancy. She decides to go off and try to kill someone.
By the way, why don't you care about poor Ezra? Why does Mrs. Wheeler not care about Ezra?
I'm a girl's girl. That's why.
Oh, that I don't care.
When the hell did Ezra go?
Yeah, he's not back.
Where is he?
Comes back.
Justice for Ezra.
He took that hit hard.
That was his job.
He's a big boy.
He did not excel at his job. No. In front of the fertility center too. He doesn't get in front of between her and June. It's funny.
I wouldn't want to get between her and June. My goodness.
No, that's a good point.
No. No matter how big you are, I don't think you want to get between those two. I just wanted to know, we always ask everyone who's on if you have any fun behind the scenes stories you can share.
The other fun thing I will share is that Brad is
he's a very serious human being, right?
Very serious human being. Such an incredibly fun presence on set when you're having these, when you're, you know, going to these horrible places as a human being, because every time he yells cut, he will scream it in the most high-pitched possible voice or a different accent, or like he will do it as though he's having a stroke. Like he will do something to cut the tension with as much ridiculousness as possible. So
he's our favorite. He's delightful.
Did he ever show you how to do the splits?
Does he do splits just all the time?
That we missed that one. No.
I just can't believe he's that flexible. It's just crazy to me. But anyway.
There's nothing about him that surprises me.
I adore him. I adore that he's in Wisconsin campaigning this week. Like, delightful human being. Just like you. Thank you so much. This has been amazing.
Thank you for all of your attentiveness and your love and your commitment to the people who watch this show. It's so beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're doing great. Okay, good night, guys.
Thank you so much.
See you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
And I had fallen off, but had to catch up because suddenly I had a meeting with Bruce Wheeler to talk about
Bruce Wheeler.
Bruce Miller.
That is how
next season's going to be exciting.
Whoa.
Bruce
oh my
Wheeler.
God. All of a sudden,